Good morning, as Professor Shamla said, we're Team 10. My name is Ravi Sinha. This is Ashanta Mops, Nitin Arora, Kenneth Sue, and Jeet Patel. Our topic today is electromagnetic radiation melting our brains. Just want to give a brief overview of what we're going to do. First, I'll give a brief discussion of why we chose the topic. And then Ashanta will give an introduction to electromagnetic radiation and a little bit of the media coverage. Nitin will then talk about the effects of electromagnetic radiation on the human body. Next, Kenneth will talk about cell phones as a source of electromagnetic radiation. And finally, Jeet will wrap it up by talking about some preventive measures you can take. Is cell phones melting our brains? Kind of a sensationalistic topic, really kind of scary. But it is, as Professor Shamla said, it's been in the news a lot. There's a lot of different various studies. There's misconceptions, misunderstandings. We hope to put some of them at rest today. Cell phone use is rapidly increasing. I don't think you even need to study to actually point that out. Everybody has a cell phone nowadays. But our project aims to expand the use of cell phones. So if it is a risk to the user, we want to know. We're asking them to use it beyond just to place calls and text messages. We're now using it to replace the onboard sensor system, if you recall, an advanced sensor system. So it's going to be exposing them to potentially expose them to harmful radiation. This graph actually shows on the top, in blue squares, the U.S. population from 1990 projected out to 2015. What's interesting is the bottom in the yellow line, the yellow and black line, is actually the number of cell phone subscribers projected out to 2015. This study itself actually shows that the number of cell phone users and in the U.S. population equal out around 2015. What isn't shown in this graph is actually a study conducted or a survey conducted by AT&T. The fastest growing market or population of cell phone subscribers is actually teen or preteens. And there's some interesting ramifications, and we'll talk about this later. But the JFK Medical Center study showed that on average, teens receive 33.5 text and or email messages over the course of an evening. And a Pew Research Center study said that 4 out of 5 teenagers that have a cell phone actually sleep with their cell phone in close proximity, some even underneath their pillow. So we'll see with that. I'll hand it over to Ashanta to talk about electromagnetic radiation.
Hello everyone, I'm Ashanta Moss, and I'll be talking about electromagnetic radiations with you guys today. So, electromagnetic radiations is a form of energy. So the light, sunlight, the energy coming from your computer screen, all of these things are a form or manifestation of electromagnetic radiation. We use these things every day, so electromagnetic radiation is actually a benefit to us in some way, fashion, or form. There are two types of electromagnetic radiation. There's ionizing, which is high frequency, and that's supposed to be more harmful to your body, such as X-rays. And there's non-ionizing, which is low frequency, such as radio waves. So the big question in the media today is, does cell phone usage cause cancer? This is a photo that we found online, and it's called ATN tumor, instead of AT&T. And some studies say, yes, cell phones do cause cancer. Other studies say, no, cell phones don't cause cancer. So we read an article from Discovery Health where the people in Maine are advocating to get warning labels on cell phones. They say there's warning labels on cigarettes and alcohol about the effects that they have on our bodies. So why not put warning labels on cell phones, especially for pregnant women and children, because these are the people who are supposedly most likely to get brain cancer from the usage of cell phones. In the same article, a professor from University of Albany goes on to say that the short-term effects of cell phones aren't exactly, he doesn't know them 100%, but he does know, he's positive that the long-term effects are that it causes brain cancer. In another study we read from Cancer Institute, it says the National Cancer Institute is what it's exactly called. They say no cell phones don't cause cancer. Cell phones let off RF frequencies, which are non-ionizing, the ones that aren't supposed to have a harmful effect on your body, and a rate that's so low that there's no way possible it can be causing cancer to your brain. So they've been doing studies with tumors and brain cancer, and tumors not just in your brain, but also along your neck and things of that nature, to see are cell phones actually in correlation at all with brain cancer or different tumors within the body. So the question is, do cell phones really cause cancer? If so, why aren't other things such as light, sunlight, and things of that nature have cancer warnings on them also? So now, Nitin will talk to you about the effects of cell phone usage on our bodies.
This is Nitin, and I would like to talk about why electromagnetic waves even came into the picture. As you guys can read here, we are electrical beings, and most of our major things in our body are performed by electrical signals. Especially in the brain, everything is controlled by electrical signals, which are in the range of millivolts produced by different chemicals in our body. So that's when EM, which are invisible waves, which we never thought can come into the picture, came into the picture because they started interfering with the millivolts produced in our body. As soon as the millivolts, as soon as the electrical impulses or electrical activity starts getting interfered, that's when it caused a problem, because as most of us are electrical engineers, a circuit with certain amount of volt would react differently, and that happens in our body too. As you guys can see, it's vital for our body because growth, metabolism, thought, everything is controlled by these electrical signals. These electrical signals are more important, or I would say as important as blood running through our body or even our heartbeat. So this disturbance is what causes the side effects. This picture shows how important it is that we encounter all the problems that we are facing from EM today. This is basically a timeline which shows how our concerns have changed over the years. 1964 asbestos, 74 sunbeds, 1980 cigarettes. So this shows that how important, we always say cigarettes are bad, we know what are the side effects of it. So now coming to 2010, 2011, mobile phones cause the same concern. EM is as big of a concern as cigarettes were back in the day. And coming to the last thing that shows your future is in your hands is basically a campaign that's going all over the United States. It's basically talking about how keeping our cell phones in our pockets can lead to infertility among males, which is a very thought about topic, and have already been proved that continuous exposure to cell phone in your pockets can lead to infertility. Even using your laptops on your laps can lead to that because of high EM. Now I would like to talk about general effects on human health, which the most important, most common thing is the tissue damage. As we know that EM brings heating with it, also called as dielectric heating, which is the major concern. As the last picture showed about when I was talking about the fertility thing, it all depends on power and the distance. EM waves are considerably lower because it decreases as you go further away from the source. It works on the same principle. This dielectric heating, which is the most common way EM affects us, it works on the same principle as microwave does. When you put something in the microwave, it gets heated up by the same principle. As we stay or stand near an antenna or a power source, we can get heated up too. That's how our tissues are damaged. This picture right here shows the picture on the left shows how our brain looks when we are not talking on a cell phone. And the picture on the right, which shows tissue heating and which shows heating of our body, and the red shows that after 15 minutes of usage of a cell phone, that's what happens to our brain. So, for 15 minutes if you should talk on a cell phone, it's not a big concern. But if you keep doing it for hours and hours daily, over the long run, it have a drastic effect on the way you think, even leading to depression and fatigue. Now the big thing that's in the news, cancers and tumors. Cancers and tumors are mainly caused by damaging the DNA. DNA is a very delicate process. So, and again, which is held together by chemical bonds which produce millivolts, which produce electrical signals. So EM comes into play and starts affecting it. So the DNA damage, what does it? It starts knocking out the electrons and starts interfering with the nucleus of the DNA. This is very highly unlikely because you need very high power for it. But if it happens, it happens in once in a million. But if it does, it really affects our brain and its carcinogenic. I would like to transfer it to Kenneth, who will talk about the standards and the cell phone usage.